Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Brian Sebastian's Movie Reviews and More. Today, we have a special guest. For me, it's a lady that I've hoped to have on the show for quite some time. Our guest is half of the dynamic rock and roll duo, G Love, from the very popular live radio show, Real Talk with G Love and Kenny the Rocker. Based out of Florida on Florida Man Radio, 105.5 FM and 660 AM, her show just received the award for Favorite New Talk Radio Show of 2020. What makes this queen of rock and roll very special to me, it is not just that unique tone of voice, it is that amazing aura of confidence she carries with her wherever she goes. She is the fun girlfriend that we all hope to have at barbecues, at music festivals, at lunch hour with the ladies for drinks. She is this amazing business lady. She's got a resume that I had hoped to achieve when I was in high school and university. She really is that girl that everyone wants to be. She is also a business owner of GCG Consulting Services, which strives to save homeowners from foreclosures. And she is also the president of Girls Standing Together, whose aim is to offer support, motivation, and be a positive influence to girls everywhere. Please welcome the courageous, the fitting for women on TV, my hero, G Love Glenda.
Wow. You did your homework, Sherry.
I did. No, and I'm glad because Terry, our beautiful Terry co-host is here, and she's another one of those strong women. So
hello.
I think we've got a good
Hey. Hello.
Sorry, I was joining a little bit late. I had another meeting that ran a little over, but I'm glad to be here. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good.
So Glenda, what are you guys relevant out of Florida? Oh, I'm sorry, Sherry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I've reached out to a couple people, and I have a message for you.
Uh-oh.
I have a message from Sean Lowry. He says, your number one fan, your number one stalker, and your number one Nova Rex band member. I mean, your number one favorite Nova Rex drummer. He says hello.
I love him. They all call him the drummer boy.
Yeah.
He's handsome.
Yeah. It's great that you're here because friend to the show, Kenny Wilkerson's been on a couple of times, and he's just adorable.
Yeah. Well, you see a better side of him than I do. Just kidding.
How did you two meet?
That's an interesting question. I was doing radio at another place, and he was, I can't remember, promoting his band, and he ended up coming on my show just by happenstance. And we just really connected. I was like, I don't normally connect right away with somebody, especially when you're doing radio, because you just do a show, you do an interview, and then you go, oh, have a nice life, and you move on. And with him, it was just like kind of an instant connection. I can't explain it. And we just jived very well. And I was like, I would kind of like to have him on the show. And it just progressed from there. And we've been pretty much going strong for at least 3 or 4 years, I think. I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah. Oh, and you just celebrated an anniversary.
We did at Florida Man Radio. I had an internet streaming radio that I started on my own. And because I was always connected with other groups of people doing a show. And I decided, there was too much sometimes drama that went on. I'm very non-drama. I don't get into any of that. And I noticed with radio personalities, a lot of them tend to enjoy drama. I don't. And I thought, what, am I going to continue this path by being just a part of a group, or do I go out on my own? And I started Rock All Out Radio, which I still have, by the way. And I was streaming my shows out of a beautiful studio. But the ultimate goal was to get back on FM. That was kind of the ultimate goal. So 7 months, now we went over the 6 month, now we're getting into 7 with Florida Man Radio. So that was just a recent celebration we had.
And on the radio side, G-Love, and on the internet side, what are you seeing? Because I always champion women who were those disc jockeys back in the day, because there wasn't a lot of them. I came from the Connecticut market number 37. I never wanted to go to New York. It was always going to be Los Angeles, but I didn't know I was going to get there so soon. So it was one of those things, you saw things changing. When did you start to see things changing for you? Because FM is kind of dying out. It's good to still say you have that, but at the same time, you've seen those changes.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I think when Howard Stern officially retires, I even think you're going to see more of that decline in talk radio. Maybe not so much in the music aspect, but definitely in the talk radio side of it. I mean, even right now, Florida Man Radio came in not even a year and a half, 2 years ago, and they were competing with 104.1, which is here. It's an iHeart radio station. And, everybody's seeing this decline in radio because of internet and because of getting in your car. You don't really have to flip on an FM station. So, for me, I guess I look at it as the credibility of FM is really cool. That's still there. If you can get on an FM radio show with a talk show, you're doing pretty good, But I love the internet side of it, because it reaches so many people around the world. So I could showcase bands from Germany to Japan to Australia, wherever I wanted to, because the internet streaming allows people to kind of open up your doors. Where FM, FM, they seem to, we just got to localize it. It's only in the demographics of where we carry out there, so but now, like with Florida Man Radio, you do have the access of apps where people can from around the world see it. So for me, I like it both. I think if you can have your cake and eat it too, and be able to, stream across the world, I'd much rather have that than the old days of just FM. And then you're just in the local area.
I agree with that. Can you talk about when you first started, how tough was that for you being that woman? Because you don't hear a lot of women's stories when they come in.
Yeah, no, my story is really weird, just for the record. She had mentioned something that I had done in my past, and it was the first company she mentioned. I think it's GCG Processing. I was going through a really bad divorce in the height of the foreclosure crisis. And the judge kept ruling against me. I mean, it was like I was the male in the female position of where you just got beat up in court because I made the most money. And so I was in that world. I was fighting to save my home because the judge was not helping me try to save the home. So I learned how to get into the modification process. I mean, this was right in the height of when this was going down here in the United States of, high foreclosures. And I couldn't believe what was happening to me, let alone people all around me that were being, pretty much scammed about getting homes settled in a modification instead of being foreclosed on. Well, I was one of the unlucky ones where a sheriff showed up with no notice and I was evicted out of a home. Well, that really, really infuriated me. Like, you have no idea. It just turned me into a whole nother person. And lo and behold, I became a huge advocate. I saved over 360 homes for people in foreclosures. I even showed up in court and they'd say, hey, we're going to throw you in for contempt of court. You're not an attorney. I mean, I was getting in all kinds of trouble. Well, what happened, I was invited to go on a radio show to give all my knowledge because I had taught myself so much about how to save families' homes because I'd gone through it and I didn't want to ever see anybody go through that. So this gentleman said, hey, I'd like for you to come on this AM station on Saturday. And, we're just going to ask you questions about foreclosure. And we're going to ask you about how can you help families, just give them good advice on how to, save their homes. I said, okay, fine. So I go there, right? And I go to this studio and it's, really nice. And it's been there for years in Maitland, Florida. So I go in and I'm sitting with two guys that have been in radio for years and a producer that had been in there for years too. And I'm like nervous. I'm super nervous because I'd never been on radio before, right? So they're telling me to look at the clock and they say, you see that clock up there? When it's after the 15 hour, we're done. So just, get all the stuff you can get in 15 minutes, right? So I said, okay, no problem. So I'm like facing the clock and I got the headphones on and they just start slamming me with questions. And then I was very confident because I knew what I was talking about and I was very passionate about it, right? So I'm looking at the clock and I'm going, okay, it's 15 hour. They're still asking me questions, right? This is all I have in my head. The answers were just coming off the top of my head because I already knew them, And I'm looking and it's like 30 after. And finally the producer says, hey, we have to take a commercial break. And they're looking at me and I'm going, wait a minute, I'm not running this show, right? So when the guy stopped and did the commercial break, he looked at me and he goes, how long have you been doing radio? I'm like, I've never done radio before in my life. So my introduction, I don't have any education background. I didn't go to school for this. I was on every Saturday after that for 2 years, helping families save their homes in foreclosure. Then I went on a TV show. I'd never done TV in my life. And here I am sitting on a TV show in the middle of two very political people. I was not political. And I was kind of the girl, like I was the libertarian in between a very extreme Democrat and a very extreme Republican. And it was on a Spanish. Listen, it gets better. It was on the Spanish channel. And I didn't speak any Spanish. So it was all in English, thank goodness. But yeah, so I go, wow, if I could turn the clock back, and I've done so many things in my life, I said, I would have loved to have made a career in radio. I just felt it that day. It was just the strangest thing. It really was. So that's how it all started. And we're talking back in 2007.
Yeah, that's fate. And you know what's really kind of weird is that I had a similar situation that you had as far as that time period. I was going through a divorce in 2008. And I'm not going to get into the crap my ex-husband did, but he kind of pulled some fraud with the house. So basically, I lost my house too. And it's fine. You know, I survived. But going through that experience with going through a divorce, losing your home, it made me a stronger woman, and it made me less dependent on other people. I don't know if that makes any sense, because even though I got married later in life, I always was like, I don't know, always had crutches. And after that happened and my dad had passed away, I was like, okay, I got to do this on my own. Right. And it kind of was a whole shift in my life, and I started doing things more that I was more passionate about. But I think it's also crazy too that when tragedy happens like that, it opens up opportunities for people. Yeah. Yeah. And then you find out you have gifts that you didn't realize you had. And that sounds like what happened to you. That's amazing.
I'll tell you this. I didn't know that I was willing to go up against the banks of the country. I mean, I literally was doing a reality TV show because I was so vocal about what was happening and how the banks were making it very difficult for people to save their homes. And, you know, I was showing up in courtrooms. I mean, if you would have asked me that prior to being married and just living my head in the sand kind of life, I would have told you none of that makes sense. But the fact that I went through it, it now opened up my eyes to corruption, to, you know, when people say, oh, it's conspiracy or it's this, no. It's not. I'm going to tell you, I learned so much. And they actually came after me. You got to understand, when you're kind of that vocal person in the news or you become a target. And I literally almost faced prison time. This is how serious it was. So, but I never gave up. I never gave up my my side of how I treat people. And, you know, I just saw something that was like, I couldn't believe it. I thought I was in a movie sometimes. It was just crazy.
Well, see, I have a lot of knowledge on this. My ex-husband, let's put it this way, he's passed away because, I mean, I really believe it's called karma. But anyway, that's a whole other story with with me. But he was basically a criminal. I'm going to tell you this. He worked in subprime loan mortgage. And the shit that he did, to con people in, to signing these agreements where you're actually, it's a reverse mortgage where people didn't understand what they were signing. So, I mean, he ruined a lot of lives. And so, to me, it's horrible of the stuff that actually went on. I mean, he would have people pretend that they were bosses to call for references and like all this stuff that people had no business buying homes. So the whole, to me, it's like, I don't know. It still makes me sick at my stomach, the crap that went on at that time.
Yeah. It was tough, but you know, I always believe that, you know, I'm a very spiritual person, and I just believe, you know, I've always been a fighter my whole life. So I think, you know, I'm just kind of put in these situations, I think sometimes, you know, because I am a person. If I think something's wrong, I'm going to bring it to the table. And
Mhm.
I'll go up to Washington. I mean, I literally went to a protest in Washington, D.C. I was all over the news up there because I was so knowledgeable, and
Mhm.
I had proof. You know, when you have proof, that's a little different. But
Mhm.
yeah, so that's kind of what got me into doing radio and getting confident to do radio, because I could hear my voice. You know, I said, well, I do have a voice and people do listen. And then when I went through all that and my life kind of, you know, settled back out, you know, I just wanted to do rock and roll. I've always loved, I said, if there was another thing, I was a flight attendant for many years, so I flew around the world, but I always said I probably would have been one incredible manager for bands, because I just knew how to negotiate. I knew how to, you know, really get them out there and promote them. And so that's kind of how I got into Real Talk with G Love and Kenny the Rocker, because it really covers all of those things that I really, really love to talk about.
Glenda, give me 5 bands that you really love off the top of your head.
Oh my gosh, I don't even think I could do it, but I will.
Nope, you
I
can.
love Metallica.
5 off the top of your head.
Ozzy Osbourne. Listen, Ozzy Osbourne,
Love Ozzy.
I fell in love with him years ago. I mean, when I was in high school and, you know, all the kids with the, you know, the rings and the black hair, and everybody made fun of them. And I'm like, man, they're listening to the best music ever. You know, Metallica, Judas Priest, you know, Ozzy Osbourne. I was like a fish out of water in my little small hometown. But like Def Leppard, I mean, definitely up there. AC/DC, Journey. I mean, I could sit Boston. I'm a big 70s, 80s baby. Like you can turn on anything from 70s, 80s, and I probably know every song, every band, every word. You know, I just love that music. But I will tell you, I also love country, country rock more specifically, especially like Leonard Skinner, you know, more of that Southern rock. I absolutely love jazz and blues. I'm a reggae. I love reggae so much. It's insane how much I love reggae. So I really have a plethora of all kinds of music. I just love it. I'm not a big rap girl. I'm good old 80s rap.
Well, yeah, I'm the
But the
same
new
way.
rap, the new rap, I'm not really into it as much.
I don't really understand the new rap. It's not the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, there's no meaning behind it, I guess is what I'm going to say. It's just all more superficial, where, I mean, I'm same like you. I mean, I'm big into 80s and 90s rock. And so that's my era. So I like the same band you do. I love Ozzy Osbourne. Love Foo Fighters. Love Nirvana. Love grunge. I love grunge. So
I got into grunge too. Yeah, definitely. I just
Guns
love
N'
music.
Roses. Yeah.
You know, and now with Kenny, because Kenny being with Nova Rex, and he traveled with all these bands, Poison, you know, all of these amazing 80s bands. You know, he has bring national artists that, I mean, I'm like talking to people that I had followed my whole life, and I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna have him on. You know, I'm like this little girl in a candy store, and of course I get to flirt with him, which is always nice. But
G-Love, when Kenny was on the show, and if anyone wants to go back into I guess it might have been a month ago when you had Rudy Sarzo on.
Oh
my goodness, we were talking to Kenny about it, and you were just the pillar of strength, and Kenny was just so excited that he was there. It was so adorable. It's my favorite show that you guys have put out so far.
And of course I bring up Donny Osmond, you know, I'm like, well, that's who I had on my wall, you know. It was funny, but yeah, I mean, you know, he, you know, obviously they're going to get starstruck too. I mean, just because Kenny is kind of a star didn't mean he's not as starstruck, but no, it was crazy how giddy he was. I'm like, what is wrong with you? It was the creepiest thing I've ever seen.
No, it's so good. Well, okay, Terry and Brian, bear with me, but okay, I always do this with my girlfriends. Best rock song, best rock video. For me, the best rock video by far is always November Rain, Guns N' Roses.
That's a great video.
The dress.
Yeah, probably for sure. I love the AHA. Remember Take On Me?
Yep.
It was like one of the first MTV amazing graphics of all time. And I just love, I mean, I had to watch that song all the time when it came on MTV. No matter what, I had to stop and go, oh, it's AHA, you know?
Yeah, but when you think of it, think of him hitting that high-pitched voice, that note. till this,
Yeah.
that's still incredible just when you hear it back. And
No, definitely.
that was in 1985. That was my first, I was at KISS FM in Hartford, Connecticut at that point. Howard was leaving Connecticut at that point. He was in not New Britain. He was Greenwich, I think he was in the area, and we were in Hartford. So we aligned our friendship when we first started way back in the day. And then he would go do his thing. He was at WCCC before he got fired.
Right. I always looked up to him. People like say, "Why do you like this guy so much?" I'm like, "Cause he just does what he feels doing." I think it's pretty cool, you know.
But here's the thing on Howard, and you know this from being in these areas now. There's one thing to listen to them, but most of us, when we went off the air, we were the boringest people that you would want to be around.
Right.
So we weren't wild. That was just a persona. Me, I was always, I was really shy. I literally would help you. What you were talking about, having people who had lost their homes. I was helping the girls who were going through problems at 15, 14, 13, and they thought I was white because I didn't sound black. Right. They go, "Do you have blonde hair and blue eyes?" They would literally say that, and I said, "You don't want to interrupt the image of what they may have of you."
Right.
I said no, and I never said yes. I would always say, "What do you think I sound like?" "Oh, you have blonde hair, blue eyes." "Oh, okay, that's nice." Good.
Yeah.
It was always the, what they wanted to hear. You never want to ruin their image.
Yeah, well, that, those days are gone. I mean, now, they want to see you and they demand to see you. God forbid that, my Facebook live stream is not working well. They'll be the first to be texting you and it's not working.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. I remember I never knew what my favorite 104.41 guys look like. I mean, I kind of knew them behind the scenes, but now forget it. You have to show your face. You have no choice now. Those days are over. Undercover, over.
And it's crazy to think about because I grew up listening to K-Rock and, I never knew what any of my favorite DJs or disc jockeys looked. And then I saw them, they didn't look like anything I thought. Except for Richard Blake.
Right. Well, Mick Dolan was always my hero here in Orlando when I was growing up. And I remember the first time meeting him because he had such a beautiful, low voice and he was very charismatic. And I just remember thinking, wow, I bet he's 6'2", probably dark-headed. I mean, and then I met him, he's half my size and I'm going, Mick, you're so small. But he's still my favorite. I love him. Mick Dolan is amazing. He's amazing.
Glenda, I used to walk into a lot of rooms and they go, "Where's Brian Sebastian?" I'm like, "I'm right here." And they go, "You're Brian," because they didn't know I was black.
Right.
So imagine how many years I got that look for.
Oh, no. I could not imagine.
I still get it to this day. I'll be talking to people who haven't met, they haven't seen our Zoom interviews, and I'm thinking, we didn't know that. And I can tell in their voice, and I can tell when I look into their eyes, the expression.
Oh my God. What happened?
Exactly. And then they go, this is what they say. "Oh, you talk very proper."
Oh, what's
proper?
Happening?
Yeah.
Well, I guess instead of having maybe a little bit of the, there is, I don't know what to call it, but it's even the rappers. I was watching Busta Rhymes last night on The Masked Singer. He's still got that gangster sound. You know what I mean? You can put anything you want on him. Can you believe he got in that costume? I'm shocked. I'm still shocked. But he still has that talk that, he couldn't be on the radio. There's no way. People would be like, they'd tune him out so fast. You definitely have to have, you have a nice voice. I can tell you have a radio voice. So, but if people are choppy and they just don't listen, so the proper, I get the proper side of it, but I can't even pronounce names half the time. So I don't know how proper that is.
Terry's got a good radio voice too. Glenda, you've got, I was listening to a few of your shows and you've got that good tone, where, it's solid. But do you have a hopeful guest for your show that you'd love to have on there?
Oh, Ozzy Osbourne. I keep telling Penny, we're in a short time frame. Poor guy, I can't believe it's the 9 Lives of Ozzy Osbourne. I watched that documentary. It was great, by the way.
Oh, it was. I saw that. Yeah. It
was really good. And see, I got to see him in Rockville in 2018. And I didn't get a chance to meet him because unfortunately because I was backstage, I was with the media, but what happened, he was so ill after his performance, you would have never known it, but they had to fly him out. He was really in bad shape. So, I told Kitty, I go, yeah, we're on some limited time here, definitely him. I know we have the Def Leppard drummer coming up very soon. Listen, Metallic, I mean, anybody that's, up there like that would be a dream guest for me, even Donny Osmond. I would still love Donny Osmond. But yeah, so my goal is in 2021, I mean, 2020 kind of messed everybody up. Let's face it, all of us. I mean, one thing we all have in common, right? It's never happened before.
Yeah, this year sucked.
Right? I mean,
No. This is our best year. I say.
No. Best year. Besides business, right? Besides that, I'm just saying everybody's personal life was kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Glenda,
exactly. Terry, she's a fitness competitor, and until she mentioned it, I didn't even imagine about, like you were saying. Remember, Terry, you train your diet, and all of a sudden, at the last minute, they cancel the show. Just the mental.
Yeah, it screws with you because you put all this energy, and it happened to a lot of people that were training. Fortunately, I was not training for that show that got canceled, but I had a lot of friends that were training for the show that was right when COVID hit, and they're like, we dieted for 12 weeks.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Wow.
So it just screwed with their head. So that was a disappointment to people. But everybody bounced back. But it just
the beautiful thing, I think, is that we kind of all learned a lot out of this whole thing. I know I have. My son, dealing with the fact that it's senior year and he's really going through some tough times, and and I was getting myself ready for Grayson to graduate this year. Well, it would be 2021. And then I want to go on the road. My goal is to kind of take a schoolie. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, but a schoolie is where they take a bus and they convert it into like a tiny house. It's amazing. And I want to go in 2021, late 2021, get out there with the show, be on the road and go. I mean, literally just even pull up in someone's yard and say, hey, I'm here. Come out and interview with me. That's it. And I see that happening. I even have dreams about it. It's the craziest thing of, all the people I want to meet, all the people that I've met. I have met some amazing bands that just because they're not by big back labels, and they're not being played on FM radio, but they're amazing bands. I mean, just as talented as any other A-star out there. And just to pull up and say, hey, I'm here to visit, and give them some love, because there is nothing for them on FM. There is nothing anymore for a lot of rock and rollers unless you're, kind of the sensation on YouTube. It's very difficult for musicians today to really make it. It just doesn't really exist anymore, which is kind of sad. It's really sad.
Well, and Glenda, you've got a really popular, you've been doing the Battle of the Bands, and who can you name that we should watch and listen for out of that?
Well, listen, I'm going to tell you, there's a band, well, that was more specific in Clearwater, but as far as the bands, I'm going to give you some really good bands that have been on the show, and after the show, believe it or not, some of them did very well on their sales of their music. And even one got signed with a good label. There's this amazing band called Joyous Wolf. You have to look at this band. Joyous Wolf, I was introduced to about 2 years ago. Now they're really starting to climb up. Really good. The lead singer, Nick Reese, I mean, does Frank Sinatra like you've never heard before. I mean, he's just amazing. Another one is Crown Lands. Crown Lands. Crown Lands is out of Canada. I think in your neck of the woods.
Yes.
Too beautiful. They've got me, you, and everybody in this stream. Just add all of our hair. One of them has that much hair. I mean, they're beautiful. They're called Crown Lands. They just got signed after they were on our show, and literally, I would say weeks later, 2 or 3 weeks later, they got signed with a big label. I'm not saying that was us, but you never know.
I would say it was you guys.
I'll take it. And then Crash Karma. They're out of California. It's a duo husband and wife team. Their music, I'm telling you, they are going to be amazing. They're really taking over people are starting to really catch on to their music. They have a very unique sound, two-piece band. Crownlands, by the way, is a two-piece band as well. Those are the top three, in my opinion, that are just, you need to watch out for them. They're amazing. Amazing.
We got a couple minutes left. So Glenda, sometime right about July 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 21. So you'll see our tiny houses being built up on the Dreamweaver Artist Ranch. So there, I'll see if, depending on how Ozzy's health is. You haven't met Sharon, have you?
No.
Okay,
No.
so you have to go through Sharon. So what I will do for you next July, I will make sure that Sharon is there based on Ozzy's health. That's everything what it's based on. Then you will get a chance to meet her. Then you'll get a chance to do that. Plus, you'll get a chance to see how we build up our tiny houses. How's that?
Oh, that's beautiful. I mean, I love this concept. I'm so excited about this school league that I can actually drive on wheels. And, you know, these things, you can get them really nice up to about 45,000. I mean, you try to go get a decent RV and you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not my thing. And they're also into the conscious of solar. You know, everything's run by solar. You don't even have to go hook up in an RV park. So I love this whole concept with tiny houses and all of that. No, that would be awesome.
I have a portable solas too. One is Go Sun. Then the next show I have, I'll bring them on. But I have our own portable solar panels that I can take in my backpack. I can recharge my phone.
Oh, wow.
I have all of that stuff. So all of that stuff will be showcased on that ranch. And I have to remind Sherry she's going to be living on it too.
Oh, that's great. Good for you.
So this is going to be where everybody gets together and we have our jams. So we're starting to put it all together. I've been working on it for 2 years.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to be a part of that. However, I'll get there somehow, some way. I'll even hitchhike if I have to. I'm just kidding.
No, I'll have someone come pick you up.
No,
I'm
kidding.
To pick you up.
I watched too many of those murder ID mystery things. No, I'm not doing that.
Geez.
So last couple minutes, we got about 2 minutes. So why should people listen to you and Kenny?
Well, listen, if you want to hear music from way back when, listen to some great interviews with national artists. You know, we love to have fun. I do gooey gossip because I love talking about the Holly weird people because they fascinate me. Sexy tip of the night. You know, I'm always thinking that I'm like this sex goddess. I'm really not. But I just know how to read really well and make people laugh. But no, you know, I think that we just have a good time. We don't talk about politics. We just laugh. We have a good time. We're hoping everybody else out there is laughing. We talk about events and concerts and, you know, competitions and things like that. So just tune in. I mean, it's fun. We have a great time. You can find us at Real Talk with G Love. Also, FloridaManRadio.com. That's where you can get the apps and you can hear it live if you're not in the Central Florida area. And Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. We'd love to have more people tune in and have fun with us.
Terry, your social media links.
We're on Real Talk with G Love, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you know, all that crazy stuff. We do have YouTube interviews, by the way, that we've posted on the national interviews. And some of them are really good. Like Sherry was talking about, you know, the one with Rudy Zarzo. It was really a good interview. But we've got quite a few interviews on our YouTube channel. Real Talk with G Love. Easy to find. I'm out there all over the place.
Nonstop yours?
Terry Marie Nonstop on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and then my website is terrymarieofficial.com.
And Sherry?
Sherry Nelson, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, XOXO, Sherry XO. And Glenda, again, I was so excited that you were able to make the time to come on here because you really are an inspiration for women. You're intelligent, you're articulate, you're fun. You know, like I want to go to a concert with you. You're just the best.
Just don't try to keep up drinking with me.
No.
Well, I'll leave that to Nonstop.
Alcohol.
Oh, thanks, Brian.
Higher content.
All right. Also, Glenda, feel free to come back anytime. I love your story and thank you because we need a lot more women doing all these things. And again, you found your voice, which is right. You became that voice for the voiceless, and good for you. because there's going to be a lot more people going through that as you can see what's going on in the world.
Absolutely.
With that, this is Movie Reviews and More, Worldwide TV Network, IT247 out of Franklin, Tennessee, and WomenOnTV.tv. And I can say this for Glenda because you've been through this. If you see someone without a smile, please give them one of yours because the world needs it, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Agree.
Thank you.